Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Hollywood Hustle, your favorite entertainment podcast. Coming at you live from Hollywood, California. I'm your co-host, Tom Bates.
And I am Smorgasboggen, and I ruled all of Russia.
Did you legally change your name to that?
I don't have to. Remember, we have name fluidity. We talked about this on another episode. I can be whoever I want to be, and you cannot. If you try to even say for a second that I am not what I say I am, you're going to thought prison and speech prison because you're a hateful motherfucker.
Fair enough. I'm not going to argue that.
I'm Jordan. All right.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for tuning in to, again, your favorite podcast broadcast. We got a lot to talk about today, a lot of subjects to hit, some entertainment. We might touch on politics, a little bit of economics.
Yeah, because we're really smart about that.
Yeah,
we know everything.
I failed AP economics in high school, so take everything I say with a grain of salt.
Well, that's way further than me. I just buy shit. That's all I know.
Yeah. Anyway, so what is up, man? How you feeling today?
Dude, it's kind of nice doing a little bit later. I feel way more alert and awake at this point.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it later because I was out all night at Sayers Club in Hollywood. Awesome place.
Hell yeah.
Watching the sessions, which I'll go into detail about, man. That shit was lit.
Dude, I love that club. Like I said on the last episode, because Austin's going there every week now. So
Yeah.
that's what brought it up before. But my buddy Triple D's in the residence band right now that they play at 9 every Thursday. They probably do it for like a month. So 4 or 5 weeks in a row. And I wish I could go, but I'm always gigging. Last night I was at this place called 333 in Newport till fucking midnight, So that was that.
Well, you need to drop that gig so you can come hang out at Sayers with us.
I know. I need to do less, I think. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, do less.
I'm confused.
Quit. You should do it.
I should just quit everything and just say, fuck it.
And we should podcast more. That's what we should do.
Well, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And the nation agrees with it too. Backed by popular demand. Anyhow.
So tell me about the session.
Yeah. So the sessions, man. So what they have is they have this fantastic live band. Very, very good. Everyone's a pro. They got a horn section, whole nine, backup singers. It's lit. Really good. They got the stage, the room, probably about like 200 people there. You got the bar. You got beautiful women. I mean, it's just a cool spot. Like quintessential Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
And so they have one person that comes up and basically fronts the band. So it is about talent, but it's more about the show, right? They got the lights going, maybe a little bit of smoke and all that. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's really cool. And like, you gotta entertain, like people respond. Like if you're putting it out there and you're crushing it, like people, yeah. And if you're not, and people are just kind of like,
Yeah, the band's still good. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's like 6 people that went up, and that was my only qualm with it. I was like, damn, you should have 12 people, 15. Like I could stick around all night and watch this stuff.
Yeah, how long did it go for?
Maybe an hour.
That's crazy, especially because it started at 11. Why not just go straight through till close?
I don't know. Well, they had another band that came up after it. I forget this artist's name, but he was fantastic too. He was a funk artist. And man, he crushed it. He had the sparkly jacket and everything.
Dude,
like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know who that is.
Really? Like big beard?
Oh, no, never mind. There was a guy, super skinny dude who just like totally just flamboyant, like
Right. Funked out.
Dope funk, yeah.
Funked up.
70s funked up, and I forgot what his name was too, so I guess that's irrelevant regardless. So sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. So anyhow, Austin went up. I went to go see him, and he did Rebel Yell by the great Billy Idol. And fucking nailed it. Crushed it. The showmanship, the hair. For those of you that don't know who I'm talking about, you got to tune in our podcast. That was our last guest.
Austin Charles.
Immensely talented ladies. He's good looking and single.
Oh boy.
That's right. But he makes a fantastic wingman, so don't try to lock him up because I need him.
Yeah.
Trust me. Like he stops me before I say anything too stupid or offensive to women. Like he'll just like give me the hook. Like, just get over here.
He's like, just now's the time to just stand and look pretty.
Yeah. So anyhow, so he just nailed it, and the band was into it, and they're rocking, and like he had these like backup singers, and he was fronting and doing all that Mick Jagger shit, and it was fucking killer. And here's the thing about Hollywood that I will say. So 6 people went up. In my mind, I think 4 of them, if they had the industry behind them, like marketing and pushing them like they can to people, they could be superstars.
Yeah.
The talent is unbelievable. Everyone is a polished performer, but it's just like, man, it's hard to get to that next step and break through. And they're doing a good job. Like Sayers Club, I'm sure you could have an A&R rep or some kind of maker, I like to call them.
That is one of the spots, because
For sure.
I remember even before I moved here, a friend of mine, when I was visiting, had us go and meet her at Sayers. And Jamie Foxx and his crew came in, and they're sitting right up front. And Jamie Foxx is known for being the guy who made Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a good...
You know, there's people who go, and Sayers definitely has an amazing reputation for that. I also know artists and performers who despise that place
Why?
because of shady business doings.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's why you need a manager.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
The sleazeball who can just say, fuck you.
That's right.
Yep.
You know, everyone's a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit.
Yep.
That's where I thrive, is like, give me my money. Don't make a fuck out of me, Al. Give me my money. Did I tell you about how I won a role by doing that
Really?
at an audition?
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was immediately after like one of our first podcasts. I had an audition for a role for this gangster show that's been basically put into pre-production fucking purgatory. But so I won the role, and it was for like this gangster thing. It was like Scarface meets Casino, about this Latin family that like has this casino that's fueled by drug money in Las Vegas, and like the whole story arc. Really great script, by the way. I mean, the plot was fucking awesome. So I went in to audition for this role, and I'm like, you got any sides or anything you want me to read? He's like, no. I want you to extort money out of me. And I'm like, you got the right guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I literally did that. I was like, don't you make a fuck out of me. You think I'm stupid? You think I'm fucking stupid? Yeah. And a much better job than that. But yeah, I won the role.
Dude, that's what's so cool about acting too, is that there are certain types of casting that you actually grow into better. So the older you get, the better mobster / fucking, cutthroat business fuck you can be, and the more believable it is. So if you just keep getting better at that over time, that becomes an actual role that you are sought after for.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Well, you look at the Danny Trejo was typecast for that. Ray Liotta,
Yep.
Lotta De Niro, right? Joe Pesci for sure. Most underrated actor, by the way. God, I love that guy.
Gotta love Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci. Yeah, we got to have him on the podcast. Joe, I know you're listening, especially now that we're on YouTube. We're on YouTube now, taking it to the next level. So, Joe Pesci, you got my number. Just give me a call. We'll set up a date. Your people will talk to my people, which is us.
Yeah.
And we'll get you booked.
Sick. But yeah, so I mean, Sayers, I need to come. And period, I need to get involved with more just community type stuff. Not that LA is like the best for it, but because I just work all the time and I'm like making money with music, I'm missing out on just developing way more relationships and people who are really after the artist side of it, which is kind of a topic that I wanted to talk about a lot today anyway, which was selling out.
Selling out.
And the extent of like what constitutes being a sellout, how evil really is it, or is it bad at all? And just the whole continuum of what it means to sell out, because we talked about it a little bit before the show,
Right.
but you're going to have to compromise, period. Like there are bands and artists who do them 100%, and then it's undeniable. Those are such a small percentage of people that break through. It's like, if ever,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's almost a correlation between how much you're willing to sacrifice your artistic integrity and how much money and success you'll have in entertainment.
Yeah, it's wild, and the reason it's even on my mind at all is because I just did a gig in Vegas on Monday at the Skyloft at Mandalay Bay for Microsoft.
Sounds swank. Micro who?
Yeah, I don't know, just softies.
Yeah, bunch of tech geeks.
Yeah, and I show up to the gig. The venue's beautiful. A big ass stage was brought in for us. Sound guy's already there with all this amazing fucking equipment. He's getting everything plugged in. He's all situated. I just bring my guitar up on there. We plug in. We all have our own in-ear mixes with perfect, like everything is just perfect. We play for 2 hours, no rehearsal. with the band. Like I just met the guys. They're Vegas cats. $1,000.
Sell out.
Precisely. And I don't feel bad about it at all.
Oh my God. They got their clutches into you. You're just a corporate patsy.
Because it's like, dude, at what point, like, and we talked about this before too, but like having realistic dreams and goals, you know, like my dream and goal was always just to play music for my living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if that's the goal, why not jump into that full on? And the reason I'm not is because I still do believe in my creations a lot. But there's when you experience those and the gig is just so fun and everything's just like so fucking easy and everything's on your side and the venue is like stoked. The fucking manager who set it up is like so excited. She's taking video. Like you can tell that it's just there's an excitement there that people got what they fucking wanted. We got what we wanted, which was a lot of money. And then when you do your own shit, it's just like, God,
Yeah.
fuck, you know?
Drudgery.
And
Yeah.
it's like, for what, you know? And it's because you really do have to love it. And I do love it, and I'm going to keep doing it. But it's like, at what point do I just say fuck it and decide to do the corporate thing full time?
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely up to you, and that's up to whatever person is doing the art. I mean, it's really tough because you gotta keep a roof over your head, and you need the money to perpetuate your art, because we've discussed this on the program before, but you never know, it could be somebody's first show, so we'll touch on it again briefly. It takes a lot of money to be able to do your art, and a lot of the times you're ending up in the red. Like, I remember I played this little open mic in Venice this week, and I introduced the first song by this has been my most lucrative song I've ever written. It's currently at negative $500. Right?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So you need the money to be able to fuel it. And it's like, okay, well, some people will do that being a barista at Starbucks.
Yep.
Or whatever, and that'll give them the time to do that. But it's like, you're not going to have money to record.
No.
Right?
Or time.
Or time. Yeah, because you're going to be working so much. Like, to live in LA or New York or Nashville or Austin, any city, especially now, I mean, rent's going up and that shit ain't stopping. Those landlords are getting paid. That's a business you need to get into.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of people without degrees. That's the business, is to buy cheap property and rent it out.
Yeah, slumlord.
Yep.
Could be in the cards for me someday.
At least on TV.
Yeah. Well, that's how I make it in television. Like, I don't make it as any like legitimate artistic actor or anything. I'm just on like South Beach Tow or something like that. It's like Slumlord Tom, like pawnbrokers or
yes.
Pawn Stars, right? Except it's just like I'm like cheating people out of the
You're
price
like
of property.
in fucking middle of nowhere, Ohio, like, you know, and you're slick back, like totally mafioso.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, I get into conversations with people who fucking talk shit about how I make my money,
Well, fuck them.
and who also don't produce as much original content either.
They sound salty.
There's definitely some of that. And it's like, and I try to be cool when I get in these conversations and like not lose my shit.
Right.
Because it definitely strikes a chord, because it's like, of course I'm not doing what I really fucking want to be doing. But I have more time than you. I make more money than you. Maybe. Just, you know.
You do.
And then also, I'm like continually getting fucking better at being a performer and at both guitar and piano and singing all the time, right? Who wouldn't want that if you're trying to become a successful performer / musician?
Yeah, I mean, I think it fosters your art. It's the whole reason why you're out here. And you can live a decent lifestyle, not be a starving artist trying to make it. Because it's like, that just makes for a good biography.
It's like
after
so romantic,
they've made
right?
it. Yeah, it's over romanticized. And it's like, that shit's not fun. You know, like, oh, you know, Kurt Cobain used to live in a van down by the river, literally.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know why it's a good story? Because he ended up in a mansion in Seattle and he had a net worth of $50 million.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why it's a good story. But no one thinks highly of the person that is doing that before they're famous.
Yeah, and who's like ends up still just rotting away on Venice Beach.
Yeah, very few people think that. I mean, unless you're immensely talented. But yeah, that's just not the case. Again, it's over romanticized. And then like you think about like people like famous artists that made it posthumously. So after they died, like Van Gogh, and they always romanticize like he was this drunk painter and he was so tortured and everything. And it's like, oh, but he made this beautiful art. It's like, no, at the time he's probably like, why do I do this? Why can't I just get a job?
Yeah.
Just be a normal person. Good God. Right? I mean, yeah, but selling out, to me, the threshold is if you're already wealthy, you already have enough money where you're going to be fine and you're still doing cheap shit.
Yeah.
Like Bill Hicks had a really good insight on this and used Jay Leno. So Jay Leno was getting paid, this is in the 90s, like something to the tune of like $2 million, let's say, to do the Tonight Show, right? And then he does a Doritos commercial. And it's like, the reason he had a problem with it is because that Doritos commercial should go to some aspiring actor that just needs enough money to continue to pay his bills to push forward in his career in Hollywood. And like, I get it from Doritos standpoint. You get Jay Leno.
You're gonna sell more Doritos.
Yeah, you're gonna sell more Doritos. Like, I get it, and I'm not hating on them for it, and I'm not really hating on Jay Leno for it. Like, whatever, do your thing. You're trying to make money or whatever. I don't know what your bills are, but I know he has a very extensive rare car collection.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it probably went to that. So that's great. That's where all the money's going, making the rich richer.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's the threshold, is when you're already good, you're already well known, and you're well off. It's
And you're
like,
still making moves that are just completely out of monetary interest.
yeah, like you'll do anything for the next
If the right-
for the next dollar
the right
bill.
coin's attached, yeah.
Exactly. If those dimes aren't nailed to the floor, like, you'll do anything to fucking take them. So I don't have respect for that. But if someone I knew that was an aspiring actor was doing whatever commercial, short of like, you ever seen that nasal unblocker, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
water thing? Like, don't do that. That's just bad. But yeah, anything short of that, it's like, fine. You're just trying to be able to continue and push towards something bigger and better, so you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. So it's always funny, and it's like, like I said, I try to keep my cool, but it's like it gets pretty frustrating because they somehow put themselves on this pedestal of being a better artist because the only form of music that they do is their own only, even though nobody hears it. They don't put out full albums. Like, you fucking name it, right?
Right. They like the idea of being an artist. Like, if you're doing something like you're like some of the people at Sayers Club or something like that, like, and you're playing out all the time and you're gigging and maybe touring here and there and you're recording all the time and you're in it, that's fine. I understand that. You're keeping your options open because you understand the greater possibility and the more integrity of doing your own art and whatever that may be. But yeah, I mean, those people that are criticizing you for that's infantile, and they're not looking past like, oh, you're a sellout. Like, those people, like, everything is selling out. Like, you're sellout. Like,
Yeah.
God, those people are the worst. And how many of them actually make it?
None, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty curmudgeon-y, and I don't even do that.
Yeah. But so that's just an interesting thing that comes up from time to time, and then I get like a hella lucrative corporate gig, and I'm like, this doesn't suck. Like, this is to actually have roadies and to like just do your thing and get praised and paid. It feels fucking good.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man.
Yeah.
And when we were doing a little prep before the show, I was telling you about like that corporate stuff does not stop at all. In fact, when you get bigger, you get more opportunities to do that, right?
Yep.
Like, my theory is work leads to more work, and it's an exponential growth. And I was telling you a story about a restaurant manager that I worked with who worked for the Outback Restaurant Group, and they had a corporate annual event, a retreat of sorts, and they hired the Dave Matthews Band to play there, and they gave him $2 million for an hour-and-a-half performance.
Insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like you're telling me Beyonce will do
Bar mitzvahs
bar
and
mitzvah.
shit.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's, I don't know about that. But then again, like, dude, who am I to judge? Like, I'm not going to pass judgment on that per se. But it's like, again, if you're already well off and you've already made it, like, go to the studio and write a new track, or like collaborate with an artist that your name on their track could push them to new heights.
Yep.
Right? Because then here's the thing, like, that's an investment. Because one day, if your stock falls and you did that for somebody, you know,
Yeah.
you can call upon them to do a favor for you.
Hey, I bought too much blow this month, and my nose is caving in, and my throat doesn't work, and I need you to be featured on a track while I just talk in the background like this, and then we can split it 50-50.
Yeah, you always got to have a plan for that circumstance, because that's real.
Yeah.
Right? Especially out here in Hollywood. So, yeah, I mean, I do think like that. Like, you got to plant seeds for the future. And this is like, Hollywood is politics, man. It's politics for beautiful people and talented people.
Yeah.
Right? And it's all about doing favors. Right? I do this thing for you.
Scratch your back. You scratch mine, I'll scratch yours. Yeah.
Right. And it's a small town, and you're only as good as your reputation, right? I mean, for me, believe it or not, I have a reputation as an honest, reputable dude who will not fuck you over. Believe it or not. I don't know how. But
I believe it.
yeah. No, it's because I won't, man. Like, I don't
When you
have
say you're
that-
going to do something and you fucking do it. Like,
Yeah,
That's
I do it. And then and I won't flake out on people. Like, Austin's like, oh, are you going to come to Sayers? Like, yeah, I worked all day and I fucking went home, showered, ate something really quick, and went to Sayers because I said I'd be there to support him. And again, like, going out, you should always go out in Hollywood. Like, it's going to be an awesome time 99% of the time. But like, showing up and being a man of your word, or a woman of your word, it goes a long way. It really does. And you'll get that reputation, and people will want to help you and help you succeed. And again, like, in this town, a lot of it is based on talent, but it's not just talent. Talented people that are pricks, it's like, all right, well, there are so many talented people in Hollywood that I'll find a talented person who's not an asshole.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And I'll give
skip
them
right
the
over it,
opportunity. Yeah, exactly. Which is why you're going to have a lot of success. And like, all the people that I've put into contact with you really, really like you. And in the future, in retrospect, you could see like, oh, you know, because I did this pro bono for a person in good faith, it came back to me in spades tenfold. Right? I think there's a reason there's biblical passages about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's being able to actually give your time to people in any capacity, whether it's just talking or actually collaborating is the best way, you know, for music. But
Yeah.
it's just fun. Like, I don't know, people are really hesitant sometimes because they might show a chink in their armor. You know, you ask somebody to come over for a session to write a song and you don't write anything, you know?
Yeah.
And then
Well, you're just overall very, very intimidating.
yes.
Yeah. I'm shaking over here, like within 3 feet of you. Like, I'm very nervous and scared.
I get it.
No, but dude, I can't thank you enough for bringing Austin on the show, and just like we had an instant connection when he started playing some obscure Mayer tune, you know?
Oh yeah, that was great, man. What a
Yeah.
good way to start the show.
Yeah, it was
if
so
I may
fun.
say so myself.
But then, you know, he came over yesterday for a writing session, and we went right into it. Like,
Yeah, how did that go?
dude, it was
Enlighten us.
super fucking easy, as I would have imagined from just knowing him from talking on the show and then listening to his tunes. Like, the dude's fucking great. Like, clearly has his shit together as a writer, and I like that he wants to share himself, and his style of writing is very personal, you know?
Yeah.
So when he came over, I'm just like, yo, like, what's happening? You know, like, and that's how the song came to be. What's it called? Meet Me There.
Yeah.
And it's all about meeting this person from your past, an ex-lover, in a space where you have shared emotional fucking release, because neither of you have moved on from it, and the only way to really actually fucking move on is to hash it out, whether it's bad, good, what, you know, he needs to hear some shit, she needs to hear some shit, and it's the only way to really make it happen is to find some type of middle ground to meet and make it happen.
Can you put the past away?
Wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. But yeah, dude, it was super funny. He had a riff, like just a progression that he kind of had in mind. He's like, like Jaded by Aerosmith.
I love that song. I was going to tell him
With
to
the
do that.
drums. So I made the little beat,
Yeah.
started doing it, and then I just started humming out some melodies and started really pushing the lyrical content just to get it rolling. And 2.5 hours, a whole song done.
Yeah, whole song, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good stuff. I like that. I love the guitar work on it. His voice is fantastic. The changes are good. It's an interesting song.
Yep.
And again, the subject matter. I mean, that's so deep. It probably won't resonate with like low IQ like populace. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys are too smart. I need more like shaking the ass, girl, you fine. Can I get a little bit of that?
I think it's just dumb enough because it's about matters of the heart, which no matter how you spin it, people will somehow find a way to resonate with it.
Yeah.
It's not like my music where I talk about fucking, Big Brother and machines watching you and naming it Christoph. Like that's not resonating with anybody.
No, I think that does that because people love conspiracy
Yeah.
shit and people love like the deep state and the dark web and all that.
State, yeah.
Yeah. All that deep state. Yeah. But man, that tune you wrote with Austin, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I was gonna say a little less Jackson Brown, a little more Gucci Mane.
Is
Is that a critique you've gotten?
Maybe the next session we can try that. Yeah.
No, I'm fucking with you.
No, I know.
It's great. So what's the next step? You guys gonna produce it? With some drums.
Well, at first, he's thinking that he wants to just compile an ass ton of tunes for a record.
Yeah.
And,
We've talked about that.
But then this track is also kind of a response track to a song that his ex put out, which is like kind of what got it inspired. So it's like a little Taylor Swift, John Mayer type of situation.
Oh, a diss track. That's awesome.
So it's it seems pertinent to actually, put it out.
No, you have to put it out because she dissed him.
Yeah.
He dissed her back.
And it's been a long
So
time.
it's on.
It's been a long time since he's put anything out. So I'm willing to facilitate getting this shit done as quick as possible.
Yeah, no, you never want to have a reputation as somebody who doesn't put out. Hey,
yeah.
Boosh. Yeah.
She wanna know, am I still a slut? I gotta take it on the other side. Boom. But yeah, dude, fucking it was really, really fun. We're gonna do more of it, and I think we should put this track out as a single and then keep writing, and he can, get with Corey and just keep working on compiling tracks for the album. Because this might not be even the sound that he's really looking for. I think it's like James Bay meets a little bit of the Americana feel,
Yeah.
and which he's open to going a little more poppy than he has in the past because, again, compromise. We want to be successful. Like, we don't just do this because, like, there are people who do it because that is the absolute thing that they have to do more than anything in the world. But the thing is, you still got to eat. There's no getting around that,
Right, but it doesn't cross the threshold of compromising his integrity.
Exactly.
Because he likes pop music. We had this discussion. I'm not going to talk about what things that him and I have discussed behind closed doors because that's like a manager, artist privilege type stuff. But, I mean, again, it's like Kurt Cobain got criticized for the pop sound that was prevalent in Nirvana songs.
Yeah.
And his response was like, fuck you, I like pop.
Yeah, Beatles are like my favorite band.
Yeah, I love pop, dude. Like, I can go on for hours about Madonna and Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys and pop from the 60s and 70s. Like, pop didn't start really sucking until recently.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
true.
You look at all the chart toppers from back in the day, and it was all
Great
good shit.
Yeah. And even now, there's a lot of great shit, but unfortunately, the chart toppers are awful.
Yeah, we just need Bruno Mars to continue making music.
Yep. Every month.
Yeah.
Put out a new song, Bruno. Fuck albums. I mean, I love your albums, but we need you consistently putting out new material. So
Singles,
that's a
baby.
call.
Yeah, and I know you're listening. Also, we'd like to have you on the show, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I mean, like selling out. I think selling out, like the word out, is like when you're like, fuck it, I'll do whatever it takes. I will wear a Teletubby suit and play guitar for Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If the price is right. And it's like, say like, oh, everyone has their price. Like, not true.
Yeah.
Not true. Like, I'd rather live on my feet than die on my knees. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Like, I know there's certain things like I will not do, and I'll say fuck off. Like, I get all sorts of auditions sent my way for roles, and like I'm in no position to turn anything down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, nope. Yep. And like I was watching this documentary that Austin gave me with Kiefer Sutherland, and he was talking about this artist. Kiefer was talking about this artist he was working with. He's like, he's so pure. He's never done any artistic endeavor just for the money. And he's like, I can't say that because I had a wife and kids. I had to do things that I otherwise would not want to do to pay bills. And it's like, avoid that situation. That's why it's good to have a day job, because then you don't get caught up in that, because people prey upon young artists for sure.
Oh yeah.
There's a whole industry of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just listening to something that was like talking about people who they're so desperate for work that they literally will say, I could be taller, I could be shorter, I can change. Isn't that from a movie? Is that Dustin Hoffman?
Maybe. I don't know.
It's like,
is that from Tootsie?
I can't remember, but he's like going to auditions and over and over, you're not the right thing. You're not the right thing. And instead of just being who you are and letting that sort itself out, you're like literally saying, I could be shorter, I could be taller. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't. Like, you have to do what you do. And within that, hopefully you're not on one little tiny axis where this is me. Hopefully you is a relatively like fluid continuum that kind of has some wiggle room so you can actually take opportunities that do come your way,
Yeah. You have a window
Yep.
of certain archetypes.
Instead of the tiniest little sliver of hope,
Yeah, but even then, I mean, that can play into your hands.
It's
like
true.
Danny Trejo, like we discussed, like the quintessential gangster. He will never be cast in the sequel to Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
As an investment banker, right? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, again, like being yourself is going to be, again, I think that's terrible advice for about 95% of the human population. Just be yourself. Don't do it. All right. But if you're an artist, you don't have a choice for the most part.
Yeah.
I really don't think so, because eventually you're going to be found out, and then your career is going to...
they'll see right through you.
Yeah, going to tank. Or even worse, like they won't even pick you up because they'll find someone who is being themselves, who does fit that particular role.
Yep.
And I learned that very on at the Ivana Chubbuck Academy. Like that, it was like drilled in my head, like, be you, and not like all this like, you're enough, just be you. It's like, no, you idiot, don't be anybody else, because you're not fooling anybody.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Right. And like, no, in fact, being you is definitely not enough. You need to work on it and get better at
Be
it.
a better you. Yeah.
Right. But then with that comes another path to self-actualization, where you're understanding yourself. Right, because you're always growing and developing every day, and you can get deeper in there and understand who you truly are. So I think that's a great experience for growth. But for me, like, could you imagine Jim Carrey not being himself? Like, what a disservice to him and everybody else.
Yep.
Or Jack Nicholson, right? And that creates quintessential actors, and then that's when you become a star and you get roles written for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and directors come to you to help write scripts because you're just that talented, like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
But I don't even know how much of it is talent, with a combination of, honestly, it's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to be myself.
Yeah.
I don't care. And like that's the thing, is like, so many people, they get so hung up on making it so they can tell their parents and their friends back home, like, I made it. I'm a star in Hollywood. Like, I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll go on doing whatever I have for eternity, because I'm good right now and I can sustain this for the foreseeable future, right? I'm not giving in at any point. So, yeah, man, I'm just going to continue being Tom Bates, and the whole world's going to have to suffer with that.
Yeah. And, dude, it's kind of similar, but a little bit different. But with taking corporate gigs, it's like you could look at it as not doing what a disservice to yourself, or, you're playing music because that's what you love to do. It's all about how you frame it in your own mind, even.
Yeah. No, there's this Allstate commercial. No, it's State Farm. It's a State Farm commercial, and it's in rotation now. And it's this girl, the singer-songwriter I've never heard of, and she just does like this little jingle, right? That's it. She's getting paid out the yang for that. Definitely six figures.
Yeah.
She's on camera for 5 seconds and it shows her name. It's like singer-songwriter. And it's like, she definitely blew up because of that. And good on her. That is God saying, here you go, kid. You've done something right.
Yep.
And here's an opportunity. And she can use that for growth. Now, it's different if it's Brad Paisley who is doing that. Although the Peyton Manning Brad Paisley commercials were hilarious. So I'll give them a pass. Yeah. And I like Brad Paisley.
Dude, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
But then, that can kind of lead us to another topic, which is, what is too much? Like, how, because it's not so much even selling out at that point, but like, how much is anything truly worth in the marketplace of America? Like, how,
Whatever someone's willing to pay for it.
Oh, capitalism, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is where this is the economics we're going into here.
Oh, shit.
All right. So capitalism has taken on the role of essentially a religion in the West. People put too much value on the almighty dollar bill to the point where they don't care what you have to do to get another dollar, who you have to screw over. It's like, well, buyer beware. And that's all you have to say. It's like, before you insult somebody scathingly, you're just like, with all due respect, and then you lay into
no
them.
offense.
Yeah. Just say no offense. Like, I'm gonna pollute the ever loving shit out of this river, but I'm gonna get a G6 instead of a G4,
Yeah. Totally worth it.
and I need that.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, how much is too much? God, corporate greed.
Yep.
Right. It has no bounds, takes no prisoners, and screws over many people, and again creates the widening gap, killing the middle class. Lots and lots of poor people, very few rich people.
Yep.
Right? And look, I'm not going to knock the hustle. This is the Hollywood hustle after all. And I know a lot of rich people, they're philanthropic. They donate to various charities and organizations. But they also get a tax break for it. Like, I see right through that shit. Like, when they're donating to the point where, I mean, they got to cut back on their lifestyle, then yeah, I have respect for that. But it's like, if Bill Gates donates $20 million to some foundation, I don't care. He makes that sometimes in 2 days. You know what I'm saying? Or less. Like one single business deal, he'll make that tenfold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just outrageous. And so, yeah, I mean, how much is too much? It's really up to the individual. But I think people just get caught up in the materialism and the status signaling and everything that comes along with it. Like, don't get me wrong. I'd love to be rich, but I'll be fine with 20 mil.
Yeah. But this is something that you were talking about before, which is like in pro sports, for example, like one of the ultimate microcosms where you actually get to see people's salaries, because it's so many businesses and so many other capitalistic ventures, you don't even know what people make. We don't know how much Trump makes.
Well, the president of the United States has a salary of I don't know, $400,000.
Not the presidential salary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a reason why these guys are making that. And I've tried to wrap my head around it, because people always talk like, oh, these pro athletes, like you get both sides of the coin. You have true capitalists who are just like, well, they should be able to make whatever they want to make, or whatever the market is willing to dictate, right?
Yeah.
And then you got other people who are like, it's a fucking game. They get paid like that to play a game, which is also true. So it's like, there needs to be some type of regulation on this to at least fucking build roads out of it, taxes, like there's got to be some type of benefit to the rest of society besides just entertainment.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's what we do here on this program is we dive in and focus on the middle ground, the gray area, the options, and the caveats in this. And I don't think we're going to draw a conclusion on it, like what exactly should happen, if there should be a policy, some sort of regulatory type thing put on it. But to illustrate this, I'm just going to put out some numbers here.
Yeah.
So we've got the Major League Baseball players, NBA athletes, and NHL hockey players, their respective salaries. MLB, $4.4 million average salary. NBA, $6.2 million average salary. and $2.4 million average salary in the NHL. These are athletes. And mind you, their seasons run about 6 months. A doctor, $187,000 average annual salary. A lawyer, $115,820. Police officer, $60,270, and a firefighter, $46,870. Now, in your life, when the shit hits the fan, if you get some kind of cancer and you need a surgery, or if you get tied up in some terrible legal matter, or someone is at your front door with a gun, or your fucking house is on fire, you're going to call a doctor, lawyer, a police officer, or a firefighter.
No, I'm calling Derek Jeter.
He might not answer.
Fuck.
Because he's fighting fires at other people's houses.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
No, dude, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's the disparity it's insane. It just goes to show you. I like to think of whether these are the things that are creating the culture, or if the culture is creating that.
Yeah. What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
And I think Americans are just insane on the consumerism side of things.
Bread and circus.
And the reason this exists is because we clearly value entertainment more than necessity. Like, it's insane. Doctors, you made this point too, but fucking the amount of schooling, the amount of debt, and the amount of benefit to society, it's absurd. And just because it's not entertaining, like, people who play doctors on TV make more than actual doctors.
Well said. Nice frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick Dempsey makes more than the guy that's like removing
Doing
tumors
open
from
heart
people.
surgery, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is outrageous. And it's like, we're not saying, okay, take LeBron James's salary, take off $5 million and spread that evenly amongst all the doctors in America. But there's got to be some sort of way, some sort of policy that the government can regulate this and cap what these people make. And anything that's from the ticket sales and the concessions and everything with these major league teams, these professional sports teams, taking the surplus and putting it back into society in ways that will help people, right? Yep. I'm not talking UBI. I'm not talking free rides and welfare and stuff like that.
Well, I think that's a huge distinction, that people on the right are like, people who earn their shit should not have to give their hard-earned shit to somebody who doesn't want to earn it, right?
True. Absolutely not.
And then on the other side, everybody's like, yo, I worked my ass off in my perspective field, and how the fuck is that worth that much more than what I do?
It's not. It's objectively not.
Exactly. So why is it such a debate between whether or not it has to be completely open free market capitalism, or it's socialism and everybody has equality of outcome and everything's flatline?
Yeah, it's complete egalitarianism. I agree, and it lies somewhere in the middle. And I think it's incumbent upon, the only way you're going to be able to do this is through a government policy, right? Because people are definitely not going to do it on their own, I assure you. But what you could do, I mean, you could create incentive to do it, and I guess a way that we could have this done is create a tax incentive for professional sports teams, like cap salaries. That's got to happen. I mean, you got Clayton Kershaw's getting paid $34 million a year. How many starts has he had this season? Like, come on. What's the price per pitch? Really? It's probably more than I make in a month.
Yeah, easy.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he could throw a pass ball and a run could score, and he makes more money than I do in an entire month working like 40-hour weeks.
Yep.
It's crazy, right? But what you could do is create an incentive for these teams to give the surplus income to a foundation that provides scholarship money for doctors and attorneys
in each city.
Because
now that fucking conglomerate that is that sports team is not only providing fucking, fun things to do and things for people in that town to rally behind, but actually serving the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's brilliant. And all these big cities have they have each of every team too. Imagine every team doing that instead of the fucking guy who owns the thing making billions and then getting tax cuts because,
well, it's going to go right back into the economy. So,
and that's not Trump's idea. That's just a very conservative idea, right?
Right. That's your only politician voice, though.
Of course. I mean, why would I do any others?
But fucking A, dude. That makes so much sense. And everybody still wins. That fucking billionaire's still going to be a billionaire. But instead of 2, maybe it's 1.5.
Not even.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then these fucking players, but the problem is, I don't even know if it's a problem. I was going to say, like, you bring down the average salary, then maybe the guys on the bottom are not making enough, but they're still making enough. Fuck them.
Yeah, well, the base salary for the major leagues is something to the tune of like $450,000.
Yeah.
So that means you could be a major league baseball player. Granted,
the bench.
Yep, you're at the top of your field, but you could sit the bench, never set foot on the field one time for an entire season, and you're making $450,000. You're making close
More
to
than the
3
president.
times. Yeah, you're making more than the president of the United States, right? You're making by far more than double what the average doctor makes, saving lives. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, where are our values, right? And then what I don't understand is, like, you've got musicians, especially nowadays, because the whole industry's shaken up. Like, you've got touring professional musicians that are entertaining thousands of people that aren't even sniffing the major league bottom of the barrel average salary for the guy that doesn't bat his weight.
It's insane.
Yeah, or like college professors that are educating the future generations, right? High school teachers and stuff like that. Like, this is important. And I think they would, not that they don't, I would never say they don't care about their job. That is definitely not true. But it would create more incentive for them if they got paid more, if they could live comfortably. Because think about like a police officer that lives in Los Angeles. Dangerous job.
Yep.
No doubt, right? Or any major metropolitan city. And they're making $60K. They won't be able to buy a house.
No.
Not in a safe neighborhood.
No. Well, man, there's so many things at play with being a cop, which just talking about it sends me off on a mental trail right now. If you're down to go there.
For it. Yeah, go for it.
So this fucking job is one of the most difficult jobs you could possibly have. Not intellectually, but fucking stress-wise.
Yep.
It's like serving in the military but except you do it every day with no end in sight.
Yeah.
And you're expected to always make the right choice, not make any decisions based on those videos that you saw of other cops getting killed.
Yeah. Zero margin for error.
And the majority of the time, everybody makes the right decision, and then one person makes a wrong decision, and the entire field is ostracized.
Yeah, and they call them pigs. But it's like, again, when that guy's on your doorstep with a gun in his hand, who are you going to call?
Yeah, and there are a lot of shitty cops. There's way more good cops. But it's also just, it's because of this that there's so many shitty cops.
Yeah, they wouldn't have to, if a cop takes some kind of bribe from a criminal organization, it's because he's not getting paid enough.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're not doing it. I don't think they're doing it to like enrich themselves and like go and ball out and live in a mansion. Like,
It's opportunity.
They're doing it because they can't send their kid to a public school in a neighborhood because it's the education's not good. They want to send their kids to private school because they care about their family. So they do something like that. And I know I'm painting an idealistic picture, but like, again, I mean, these guys straight up, they're underpaid. I think good luck making an argument to refute that, saying cops are overpaid or paid just right, other than like capitalism.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Demand, nobody wants that job, so there you go. But yeah, dude, it's fucked up. And something else that just comes to mind is like these cops, a requirement of what precinct you work in should be that you live in that precinct too.
Yeah.
Because that's how you actually develop a strong community. Because you look around the country and I hear stories about like small towns and everybody knows the cop or the sheriff.
Sure. Lighthouse Point, where I grew up.
And they make their rounds. It's a noise complaint. Oh, hey, the problems become that there's way less fear of authority because authority is a part of your community instead of this outside force that's coming to enforce laws that are debatably stupid, some of them,
Sure. Yeah.
So to have somebody who's in the midst of it, helping to shape these potential gangsters and law breakers and shape them into becoming better members of the community also, it's just that sounds like something that makes a lot of sense. But because of the situation that we're in now, it's like if you're an LAPD officer, you're probably going to live, I don't know, not in the area that you're patrolling, which, to be fair, you should, I guess you can live wherever you want, right? But it seems like an interesting concept to me, if that wherever you work is where you should live, if you're in that type of field.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you with that. I mean, Beverly Hills cops are not living in Beverly Hills.
No.
Right? Yeah, I mean, they're coming from outside, but granted, I mean...
That's a little bit different.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Like, arrest some hedge fund manager for a white-collar crime, like a Ponzi scheme? Like, they're not facing gunfire and something like that. So, yeah, I agree with that. And then if you create the incentive with a higher salary, like, let's say make it $80K.
Yeah.
Right? A higher salary, you're going to take people that would otherwise become criminals and like think about that kind of mind, like a criminal mind. They know how they work, but you can channel that towards something good.
Yep.
Right? Think about how many people that are police officers grew up in bad communities and they probably had lots of opportunities to become drug dealers. And they're like, and
they're way less successful than their fucking predecessors who actually did become drug dealers.
Yeah. Right?
It's like fucked up.
Right. And that's pretty rare though.
Yeah.
But it's like those people, they understand the hood, they understand the business, they understand the psychology of the people that are committing crimes. So, it goes without saying they'd be better at enforcing the law.
Yep.
Right? They have that edge. But it's like a lot of people aren't going to do that because it's like, fuck, I'm not going to do that for 60 grand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I made 60 grand when I was fucking 16 moving rock on the corner. Like, not that those are obviously figures that I'm making up, but you know what I mean?
You just incriminated yourself.
I
I
sell
can't be
rocks.
seen with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Pet Rocks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Charles was his name.
Yep. He was good.
Yeah, he was quiet.
You used to take him on walks.
He didn't move so great, but
I used to drag him on the sidewalk.
But yeah, it makes sense, dude. And there's so much room for this extra money. When you look at the salaries of CEOs, professional athletes, you name it, across the top earners in the country, where it's like, if you were to redistribute that, and especially towards these types of things, teachers, cops, firefighters, that makes a fuck ton of sense, and that's not like giving it, because I talked about it already, but that's what the fear is on the conservative side of the argument is it's all going to go to worthless pieces of shit.
Yeah.
But that's where the libertarian thing kind of does come in too, where it's like, or at least not every libertarian, but a few of the candidates that I followed the last election was like, if you are, the only way to be eligible for welfare is to have a job. And it's a smaller number that you are allowed to collect, but it's something minimal that actually makes you way more than if you did nothing and just collected the welfare check. And you can't do nothing because you don't get a check anyway.
Exactly. Again, incentives. Mm-hmm. That's a key word, the name of the game, right? Economics is all about incentive. And I understand capitalism because you have that incentive. If you come up with a great idea, like the internet or like great shoes with a check mark on them, you could become fucking insanely wealthy and your lifestyle could be unbelievable, right? But it's like, at what point is enough? And on top of it, think about this. Like, they're using public resources. Like, you look at Google, they're using the internet, which is essentially a public resource, or Twitter, something like that, right? And they got to give back to the community for it. And like, again, like there should be a tax levied for that reason, because they're using public resources that taxpayers are paying into and they're just utilizing them. And it's, I mean,
yeah, or if you create product overseas,
yeah,
you should be taxed for that too.
Sure. Absolutely.
And God.
And you should be incentivized to keep the products within the United States. Yeah. That's why, dude, I think America First economics are a great idea.
Yeah.
Really. And that's why the economy is thriving under Donald Trump. I don't like everything the guy does. Again, nuance, and you take it by a case-by-case basis. But it absolutely should be America First economic policies.
Not that he follows it, though, with his own companies and shit. Like, he's going to do what he has to do to make the most money he can make.
Right, but I'm saying, that, like, we're talking...
The rhetoric's good.
Yeah, well, we're talking theoretical economics here, right?
But also, and this is, again, I don't know shit, So I'm spouting something right now. Okay,
Spout.
from Peter Schiff. He's a very very famous, fucking really wealthy dude who knows a fuck ton about economics. Right? He's saying that the economy sucks right now, and it's not Trump's fault. But he actually voted for Trump because Trump was saying that all these inflated ideas about the economy under Obama were fake. And he agreed. He's like, they are, because there's so many people taking part-time jobs, and the unemployment stats are all doctored and wrong.
Oh yeah, those books
and
are cooked.
Because also, people who are unemployed and stop looking for employment aren't counted as a part of the statistic anymore. They're just
Yep.
So, but the second Trump gets into office, he uses all these numbers to make himself look better after he talked shit about it's the exact same economy. Exact same.
He did bring jobs back. He did incentivize American businesses to bring everything back stateside from overseas.
This guy was a big fan of what he was saying, and then he's saying how this bubble is going to crash under Trump's presidency. And he predicted the 2008 one too. And when people thought he was crazy. But he's it's one of those situations where it's difficult to read, and I don't know shit. That's why I'm saying I'm spouting somebody else. But be aware that things are definitely inflated to look better than they are, and that America as a whole is still plummeting into debt, and we have debt culture within our normal people.
Oh yeah.
So, and inflation's getting fucked. Like, it's not all good, that's for sure.
No, our generation is going to face a huge crisis with massive credit card debt, student loan debt, another housing bubble. I mean, you see all these homes are put up for, millions of dollars. And I know very few millennials that will ever be able to afford that.
Yeah.
Right. Just because there's so many people in the workforce, and this comes from bringing all these people over with like H-1B visas and illegal immigration and everything like that, and just a large populace. There are more people looking for jobs, simple supply and demand, so it's going to drive the wages down, right? So you'd think the housing market would follow that, but people are just buying up these houses, and at some point, it's like The Big Short, man. It really is. It's like that illustrated perfectly in layman's terms, so simple that even I can understand what exactly contributed to the housing crisis.
And then what was the government's response to that? Print more money.
Print more money. Yep, just put it up, shut up.
So that's why this next one's going to be even worse.
I know.
And it's going to be under Trump because he's probably going to get reelected too. So there's no way that it doesn't happen while he's in office.
Yeah, his reelection is imminent. There's no way he's not going to get reelected because he's becoming more and more popular despite what mainstream media outlets will tell you. But yeah, I mean, it is going to happen under him, and that's going to be a huge trying time. Right. And everyone better prepare for it. Like, seriously, save your money.
Yeah. And all the people who are his big followers who are still in a shitty place economically, who are expecting somehow things to keep improving and inflation to not happen under him, or it's wishful at best.
Yeah. And I mean, we've done that. Like, you look at the national debt. Have you ever gone on that website where it shows you? It's just like, it's just climbing, and they do these things like it's enough like $1 bills to reach the moon and back, and all this like crazy shit. I mean, it's literally unbelievable. It's like, how do you bounce back from that? You know what I'm saying? But that could be a nice segue into a topic that you brought up, which is frame control, right?
Nobody's better at it than Trump, and that's what's so fascinating is like for someone to be able to straight up talk shit about a situation. And then when you're responsible for it, to praise it, and everybody just takes it, and it's cool. And then the most recent thing that happened with him doing the summit with Putin,
right?
And
I don't see why why Russia would do it.
And he's literally, the whole setup for the whole thing is like, I've been talking to Putin, I believe him. So, I don't see why Russia would do that. Makes perfect sense, that statement, right?
Yeah.
Gets backlash.
You know, I bet this ain't wooded. It's sort of a double negative.
I forgot the T.
It's like, dude, who the fuck believes that? And what's crazy is he'll stick to that forever.
Dude, that's the thing about politics is like you just gotta like you can't be wishy-washy or undecided. Like just be decisive. And that's the thing about him is like Donald Trump is very decisive. He says he's gonna do something. You can sure as shit bet he's gonna try to do it. I mean, if he didn't face so much resistance at every turn, he probably would have a lot easier time. But yeah, I mean, his frame control is unbelievable, and it always has been, right? Like, you know, when they did the presidential debate and they brought up the thing about the grab him by the pussy, and he's like, it was locker room talk, and I'm very ashamed, and nobody loves women more than me. Like,
Yeah.
whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, I doubt that, but I mean, again, like, he is a salesman, right? Like, anything he goes for is like, again, like no nuance. It's all or nothing. Like,
Yeah.
like the Iran deal was the worst deal in the history of deals, maybe ever. Yeah. Like, just like no deal was worse than that, right? And I'm not saying like which side I'm on or anything. Just trying to be like purely analytical and take a step back and view it from a third party perspective. But yeah, I mean his frame control is it's unbelievable.
Well, yeah, dude, it's fucking fascinating how much that resonates with the American population.
Right.
Where I want someone who's pensive and really wants to fucking be responsible for shit they say and do. Like
that's why JFK was such an immensely popular president.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more I really like John F. Kennedy.
And then, but our little fucking reptilian or chimp, whatever the fuck you want to say, that thing inside of most people just wants someone who can just say,
Yeah, I said the wrong word.
The lizard brain.
but meanwhile, we could all learn from that in our own dealings and fucking in our careers and shit, you know?
Dude, I channel that all the time. Like I
can't
don't
do
say-
it.
Oh, well, I can't do it for myself, but I can do that selling somebody else. Like he's the best, fantastic, the best you'll ever see.
Yeah.
And like people are just like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Like it's so easy to sell that. And I mean, like, you know, and I'm not like a charlatan of any kind, but it's like ABC, man, like close. And if you're trying to sell something, don't be like, you know, don't be dishonest, but dude, fucking go full court
Believe,
press.
yeah.
Yeah, believe. Because if you don't believe, nobody else will. Right. And in this town, to tie it back to our program, it's like you got to believe in yourself. If somebody's like, what are you about? You can't be like, well, a little bit this and like I kind of and like maybe and if. And it's like, no, like even if you're fucking wrong and you got to do like damage control after the fact, like push, man. Like say you want to do the biggest stuff, the greatest things, like, you know, have no life and just push yourself in this entertainment business. And people will respect that because that's enough. It really is. Because when you work with people, you can collaborate and build something bigger. But they don't want people that are half-assed on anything. Like, don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing.
Whole ass. That's what we're about.
Yep.
Can I air some dirty laundry really quick?
Sure, but whole ass is the name of this podcast. Go ahead. It's the name of this
Whole
episode.
ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my senior year at the University of Windsor, we were throwing a party on St. Patrick's Day at my house with a bunch of dudes.
Okay.
Like probably 11, 12 of us putting it on, right?
Uh-huh.
And we put many parties on, keggers, just many kegs.
What's your keg stand time?
I never timed it.
All right.
How many Mississippis? Yeah.
Yeah, after the program. Please continue.
Okay, so this particular party was going to be the biggest one. It was going to be the last one ever, right? The plan was to get like 10 kegs, 6 60s of liquor, you know, like go crazy, right? And at the previous Halloween party we made this hunch punch, and girls at the party started calling it rape juice as a joke, and everybody it was actually the name of the punch, and I'm like, and everybody's like, who's got the rape? Everybody's laughing. Nobody got raped, right? So, in the description of the Facebook event for the new party, it says we're gonna have racks on stacks on models on midgets of rape juice. And it was supposed to be invite only, right?
Yeah.
Somebody suggested that it'd be an open event, right?
Bad idea.
Our neighbors saw the event, who were old fucks, and hated us, obviously. And so they went to the cops to have us shut down before it even happened.
Okay.
So the cops come, and I think it's purely a logistical thing because of the magnitude, because the amount of responses we're already getting on Facebook and shit are huge, right? So I'm assuming it's just a logistical thing. The paper comes, interviews us. I'm the one who's kind of the face of all of it because someone has to step up. Nobody else wants to. Everybody's like, I'm like, whatever. Like, I can be the person, right?
Right.
The article gets printed in the Windsor Star, and the whole thing is mostly about the rape juice, not the size of the party.
Don't trust those journalists, man. Never. They say never talk to the police. Never talk to a damn journalist, dude. They will fry you at any opportunity.
So now the school, they're talking about me in their own class, like in lecture halls, talking about how I need to be expelled because I promote rape. Okay? My roommate, one guy who's, you're gonna be throwing the party, but not as involved. He's like, dude, you should have just said that you meant to say grape juice. It was a typo. And that's not in me. I can't do that because I'm expecting people to fucking respond to someone taking responsibility and being cool and like expressing some remorse for that type of comment, etc. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But people jump on that. They see a fucking sliver of weakness and they jump on it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all I had to do was just pull a Trump and be like, I just meant to say grape juice.
Oh, nice tie-in. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
With the wouldn't and the, yeah. Okay.
And this was something that pretty much ruined my experience of college.
That's sad, man. Because, dude. Oh,
meanwhile,
God,
there's 12 of us who are like responsible to a degree for this event, right?
Yeah.
I became the person.
Scapegoat.
And it's just like, I tried to do the right thing and be nice. And I did get a lot of support from all kinds of women too, because they're like, yo, this dude's not that. And people in these lecture halls who knew me standing up and be like, yo, this is not right,
Yeah.
But I had to meet with different committees and go through like this labyrinth of like, you are evil,
Damn.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to be someone that I would want to, how I would want somebody to respond in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just get fucking pummeled for it.
Yep. They're definitely not going to play fair with you for that because in their mind, they see rape, you're a rapist, end of story. You can't talk your way out of that. And like, dude, I mean, like you see with all these things on college campuses and stuff like that, where like, a frat boy and a sorority girl get drunk, they go and hook up off somewhere, and then girl wakes up the next day and her sorority sister's like, you slept with John? Like, that's disgusting. Yeah. And they're like, oh, he...
some buyer's remorse.
Yeah, exactly. It's buyer's remorse. And it's labeled as rape. And it's like, they crucify these people.
When real rapes happen.
Yeah, when actual rapes happen. And they're using all these resources to prosecute someone who's like visibly innocent. And not trivializing like actual rape at all, like just in case you got some people that pull that shit, which we have zero tolerance for, intentionally misinterpreting what we're saying. Like, no, not gonna have it. So, with that, it's like, damn, dude, like these people are just so vile, and that's because like they're shitty people that love that shit because it makes them feel good about themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like they're fighting something. Like it's like this, social justice bullshit.
Yeah,
and it's like. Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm really sorry that happened to you because you're obviously very innocent.
Yeah.
Like you use the wrong word, and people are uptight and can't take a joke, and that's what it's like. Because I can't take a joke, I'm gonna crucify you, and like, dude, that could have turned out really, really bad.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it wasn't great, that's for sure. But it's in these moments where I actually see the value of frame control and not apologizing, those are traits that I hate a lot
Yep.
because that's not how it should be. But people who are supposed to be sympathetic of people who want to take the time to explain themselves and apologize and be a reasonable fucking human being, they get crucified.
Yep, that was probably the biggest red pill for me becoming an adult, is that I'd say at least 50% of the adult population, they're still children. They're mentally still children.
Yeah.
Right? They're just throwing mud, and they can't see through these situations. And honestly, that's why you need a lawyer more than a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what lawyers do, is they do frame control, and they frame everything. And like that's why people hate lawyers too, is because they'll take a situation where someone's obviously in the wrong and frame it so that they're right. And like a quick story. So I was talking with an attorney, and I was like, oh, what's one of the craziest types of logical reasoning you've seen in a courtroom? And he's like, all right, well, I was doing this case, and it was a burglary case, and they were trying to prosecute this guy for stealing from this home, but he didn't even get in. They caught him as he was taking the screen off the window to break into the home. So he's like, this attorney framed it as he wasn't trying to break into the home, he was stealing the screen.
Oh my God.
Like, isn't that brilliant? Like, it's like dead obvious, but it's like fucking brilliant. And the way that he framed that, like the guy got off with nothing.
It's insane. And to me, that's a really shitty thing to do.
Yes, and again, that's why people hate lawyers.
Yeah, but and that's why I don't like the way Trump handled that either. It's like, just because some people on his side decided that his stance was wrong and that statement was wrong.
Oh, I bet this ain't wouldn't.
But
Right.
that's the best move he could have made.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, it just bothers me because I want there to be space for actual thoughtful conversation to be going down, and for people to improve themselves and the way they think. And instead, the only way to avoid getting destroyed completely is to just put up that fucking wall and be the deadpan. This is it. No.
Yeah, dude, you got to stonewall them, because they're not going to give you a fair shake. And that's the thing, is like, it's not about a discourse and trying to get to the bottom of this and being just and forthright. It's not. It's like, they have an agenda, and so help me God, that's what they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? And like, for me, that's why I hate when like someone will say something that's like, maybe like a little bit politically incorrect, or a little bit blasé off the cuff in an interview, and then they'll go and they'll apologize in this press conference, and they'll walk everything back. Like, okay, here's something. Dude, remember when Cam Newton said he thought it was funny when women talked about pass routes?
Oh yeah.
And he like goes and apologizes for, like, no, you know what? It is funny when women talk about pass routes, because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because they don't play football for the most part.
Yeah, I mean,
a vast majority.
It's not like the NBA where there's like a legitimate women's league and college. Like, women play basketball for their whole lives.
Yeah. Dude, the WNBA is legit, dude. That was on TV the other day. Like, dude, those girls can ball.
They're fucking dope.
Yeah.
But football, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. There's not an equivalent in football. And it's like, you know what? Like, Cam Newton, like, I'm sure he got tons of pressure, because it's like the organization's like, this is bad press. He's our marquee franchise player. So, dude, you got to do it. Just apologize. And, it's like, for me, like, I'm not going to do that shit. I'm not going to apologize. Like, if I do something like that's really wrong and deserves and warrants an apology, sure. Like, I'm a big person. I will do that. But I'm not going to give in to that bullshit.
I think everybody should be allowed to apologize for wrongdoings without that being like I just conceded, I'm a huge bitch. Like, there needs to be room for that also. Like, you need to be able to stand your ground when you know you didn't really fuck up. and you need to be allowed to apologize without getting the fucking pile up from everybody else after. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
why the fuck can't we apologize when you want to, and that be okay? And it's like, it's not a huge bitch move. It's like, all right, I fucked up, moving on.
Right? Yeah. Is that so much to ask?
Or you have to be the Stonewall, I never fuck up. If I did fuck up, it's because I misspoke. Like, that's to me, that's really pathetic. But it's also a brilliant maneuver at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, that move is very out of character for Donald Trump. So I think he got some bad advice. I mean, he's a human being, and again, a master manipulator and framer. Truly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, say what you want about the guy, but I mean, he's obviously very, very good at that. And I think that was out of character for him to say. But you never know. Like with everything he does, like you got to wait like 48 hours to see what he really did, because he, as an astute businessman, he looks into the future. And I mean, they're playing checkers, he's playing chess, and you're watching it play out. I mean, he's always like 2-3 steps ahead of everybody, and they like fall into traps. I mean, it's astounding to see, and that's why I'm so interested in politics right now, as is everybody. It's because like day to day, it's just like, holy crap, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just so many things are happening in real time, and you turn on any news network or you pull up Drudge Report or something, like, and it's all like all these articles about like big shit happening like on the hour. I mean, crazy times to live in, dude. Like seriously, we live in such an interesting time, you know, especially to be our age, because we're watching what we're about to inherit, right? Like nothing is stable the world over, and we're about to inherit it. So it's incumbent upon us to level these things out. But it's like, how do you do that reasonably? It's like, you know what it boils down to? It's not a government policy. It's not laws. It's not anything but people being decent. Be decent. Be a good citizen. Be civil, and don't get all uptight about everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, God, people get so uptight and freak out about everything, and it's like we don't need that. That's not conducive to a good society. But I think a lot of it stems from people want to overturn society anyway. So that's a whole nother argument, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, being decent gets you in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it does in that regard, and that's why it's very important. If you're going to be a public figure, you got to understand what you're dealing with.
And if you're going to be a public servant, you really shouldn't have a bunch of open-ended businesses on a global scale either. Like that's, whether it's Romney, whether it's Clinton, whether it's any of these people, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to be the ones calling the shots, because it's all going to be out of self-interest.
Yeah, again, it's a conflict of interest. I totally agree. Like early on, I think like 3 or 4 days into the Trump presidency, they were talking about he was opening up a hotel in Chile and using his leverage as president and stuff like that. And like that's so unethical. If it was true, they would have crucified him for it. I think that was the first onslaught of the media from day one, trying to essentially get this guy impeached.
He's cunning enough that a lot of the dealings, I don't know shit again, a lot of the dealings that are happening are going to be not very visible if he's doing any at all. It's going to be well-placed foreign bank account, like not much traceable. Like I think
he'll be insulated from it.
I don't think people give him enough credit in terms of his prowess in that field, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I
don't think it's right, you know, but
yeah, but that's not the argument we're having. Again, we're just you know, for the viewers on this program, like we're not taking any kind of political stance. We're being objective here. We're being analytical and just trying to see things for what they really are. You know, not being ideologues and, you know, being Republican or Democrat or anything. We're just trying to say what our insight is, because it's important. Again, like this is going to be handed to our generation. We are voters. So we have a smidgen, a minute grain of sand of power of some kind. And it's like, but, you know, we have a radio program. Like we can at least start discourse. I don't know if we're going to change anybody's mind, but we'll get people talking, and people talking will change people's minds. And a lot of people are going from left to right and vice versa right now because things are so shook up.
Yeah. And to be just a staunch supporter is to be completely without thought and that's a stupid, I don't care who it is. Obama, Bill Clinton, Bush, go down the fucking line.
Yeah.
Every single one of these people fucks up on the reg. That's a
Yeah.
part. That's a part of the gig.
That's right.
And to be like, just because I love, this is obviously left media putting this shit out, but like interviews of Trump supporters, right?
Yeah.
Every move.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's for America, so that's all I gotta say. I mean, my life still sucks, but I'm telling you, it's not gonna suck for much longer under Trump.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's talk about framing, right?
Yeah. So it's like,
And same with leftists. They're all like these like crazy,
yeah,
like
everything's
psychotic social justice warriors, blue hair and like tons of piercing in their face. And it's like, again, the gray area, that window in the middle of 80% of the population is really what you got to think about. Because most people are normal. Like I talk to people all the time that have huge disdain for Donald Trump that are good people, that are normal people, that wouldn't hurt anybody. And then I talk to people that are really in support of Trump, that are good, honest people.
Yep.
And like that's what we got to get back to doing, is not demonizing someone, because like, look, man, if someone consumes media from a particular outlet, like that's what they do. They frame the narrative. And so you're going to follow that.
And every single source that we're getting is tainted. There's no such thing as a true fucking source.
Spin.
It doesn't matter unless if I'm in that fucking room and hear what the fuck was said, I'm at a loss. There's no way for me to really know. And instead, we have to just somehow put faith in whatever source we choose, whether it's some small alternative that seems less tainted because they don't have advertisers, or you know what I mean? But they still have their spin because they're trying to get viewers and they know what they need to say, or they believe it full-heartedly, but they don't know either. That's why I like to preface everything with like, I don't know, because I don't.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that, man. And it's all about appealing to certain demographics because, yes, like we have that tiny, insignificant smidgen of power, but our voting block of millennial men, you're talking to millions of people. Like that's legitimate power. And it's like appealing to those demographics are essentially what's going to dictate who wins and loses an election. And you look at the way that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class. That's why they lost. That's why Hillary Clinton didn't win, because this coalition of the ascendant that Obama had put together to win his elections, I mean, they didn't turn out for Hillary Clinton. And Donald Trump appeared to appeal to your average, everyday, middle to kind of upper class to even like poor white Americans.
Which really is fascinating.
Oh,
it makes no sense.
That election was the most fascinating thing. That campaign was the most fascinating thing I had ever seen.
I'm the wealthiest guy, but trust me, you and I are the same.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, like, I would trust him more than Mitt Romney. Like, at least he's ostensibly an outsider. You know what I'm saying? And, like, I mean, who knows? We'll see how everything plays out. It's still early. We'll see what the midterms lead to. Because, sure, Donald Trump, he gets tons of time. He's always on television and all this shit. But, like, what about Congress? Yeah. What about the judiciary, which has the most power in all branches of government? The Supreme Court?
And they fuck up a lot.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, it's interesting to see the way that these things unfold. But for our listeners, like, don't get caught up into thinking that you know for sure.
Yeah.
Just like that's the narrative that I understand. And that's why I'm able to talk to people on the right and left and like no one's threatened to bash my head in yet.
Yeah.
Is because like I'm like, dude, I'm pretty much apolitical. Like I just think this is fascinating because of what it's going to lead to for my generation. Like I honestly don't think like if you're not 30 years old, like your political opinion doesn't fucking matter. Like you haven't been on this planet like really long enough to understand, unless you're really, really, really into politics, maybe like I am, or educated in that at the collegiate level.
Peter Schiff said the voting age should be 30.
Yeah, I mean it's really, really crazy. I mean they have it at 18 because you can serve in the military at 18. If you can serve in the military, you should be able to vote.
But there should be no draft either.
No, there shouldn't be a draft.
So, you know, we have so much shit backwards in this country, and we do a lot of shit right, And I look around and I'm thankful to be here. Ultimately because I get to make my own decisions every day.
Yeah.
At least I think I do.
Yeah. And
if there is such a thing as free will.
oh God, are we going into that?
No, we're already like 20 minutes over time, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, regardless, like, again, I'm interested in this because it's going to be wild to see when people our age are running for president. I mean, you already look at New York State, the huge Democratic primary.
Yep, with that
Ocasio-Cortez,
Yeah.
right, beating an incumbent like establishment Democrat. She's 28,
and she's a democratic socialist is her platform.
Yeah, I mean, she's abolished ICE, open borders, UBI,
Yep.
like all that shit. But that's what it's becoming with our generation is like far left, far right, pick a side, get the fuck out of the way.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And like, dude, that's dangerous. If history showed you anything, that is not good.
Well, that's why so many people are gravitating towards the right, is because the right is the side of more of choice.
yeah.
The right has a lot of disgusting baggage with it too, and a lot of just, and not that everybody on the right is a hateful person, but that's where there's a lot of fucking stigma and baggage there on that side.
Yeah, but look what they have to do to get that stigma going. Like they have to tie it to Italy and Germany in the 30s.
Yeah.
Like they reached 75 years back to try and tie that to a rightward movement right now. And it's because you look at who's reporting that, it's left-wing media.
Yeah, but meanwhile, the only thing you can really ask for is that that the government doesn't interfere with your life.
Yeah.
They protect you from outside sources. They set up infrastructure that works. And this is where a lot of the complete free market capitalists kind of lose me, is like, I think the government should be responsible for education, maybe not pay for everything, but like, because dude, you need to look up Peter Schiff because you might find him fascinating.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of him.
Yeah,
before.
because he goes on about the way that fucking if government wasn't involved in education at all, how college would be so cheap because
Wow, that's fascinating.
because there's all these you get the loan, like that they all kind of work in cahoots where the people who offer the loans know that they're going to get paid back at some point by the government, and it's like this kind of evil that kind of works together, and that's what has driven the cost so high.
Yeah. I mean, and that's evil corporate abuse of capitalism. Like the thing with capitalism and the invisible hand of the economy is that there's kind of like an unspoken principle of like, don't be an asshole. Like, don't abuse people with this. Don't take advantage of people.
But they always do.
But they always do. And that's, in America, I feel like relatively recent, because how did we go from being able to work at a grocery store and afford a home and being able to feed your family to, if you work at a grocery store, good luck living in LA with less than 5 roommates
Oh yeah.
in a neighborhood where you will not get shot in like walking from your car to your front door.
Yep.
I mean, it is just so insane that very few people have livable wages, and then you've got tons and tons and tons of people, more than ever, that are at the very, very top. I was reading this article about the wealth disparity is the worst it's been since like 1928.
Yep.
And it's only getting worse.
Yep.
Because these rich people, again, like the elite do not think highly of the people beneath them. And it wasn't always that way. I mean, they think they're people are poor because they're stupid and lazy.
They weren't so far removed. Like first generation wealth, where you were able to jump on a fucking, I don't know, a railroad or something and be a part of that, and giving back. Like you could see yourself in the other person a lot easier than you can now as an elite.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they don't even view them as people. I mean, the people that are so wealthy that summer and winter become verbs, right?
Yeah.
Like they do not have any understanding of what it's like to not know where your next dollar is coming from, to work with your hands. I mean, like there should be more respect. Again, like we're talking with the wealth disparity here, like there should be more respect for blue collar workers. And like they only like them when they need them. Like if someone's a plumber, it's like, well, they should have gone to university and they should have tried harder. But when your toilet's backed up, you want that guy ASAP, speed dial here right now.
dude, and that's what's fascinating about Schiff and like the hardcore libertarians is like they say abolish minimum wage. They say abolish any of these regulations that the government has done to guarantee a minimum of some kind, right?
Yeah.
And when he talks about it, it makes a lot of fucking sense. I'm not an economist. I don't know if that would work, but there's a few examples of it. I was looking it up online of like Germany has no minimum wage
Really?
and Singapore doesn't have a minimum wage. And the argument for and therefore can ask for more at a different job or something like that, where it's just, it kind of fuels itself and the barrier for entry isn't such a big deal.
Right.
And it's an interesting concept. I have no idea if it would work or not.
Yeah, I mean, part of that scares me because again, like I do not trust the elite that essentially dole out money to the masses.
And that's why you expect the government to be better than the elites. But the elites and the government are one and the same right now.
Right. Two sides of the same coin.
And I mean, what better way to exemplify it than to have somebody who is a self-proclaimed amazing business person, billionaire, as the person who leads the whole thing?
It's still fascinating. I mean, to say that Donald Trump is president of the United States is still wild.
Yeah.
Because my whole life growing up, he was the cartoonish caricature
He still is.
of like a wealthy man. You know?
It was almost fake. It was like, wait, are you actually wealthy, or did you get wealthy because you said you were wealthy and you had a TV show about it? You know.
Who knows?
No, but he was actually wealthy. I mean, he started with a lot of money too. His dad was very successful.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. But I mean, honestly, for the United States, a country I love, had the privilege of being born into and being a citizen. Like, I hope he does well, just like I hoped Obama did well, just like
Yeah.
I hoped Bush did well.
And that's
because I
where-
want
yeah.
everybody to thrive. And it's like, don't hate this person that's in control of your destiny in a way.
Yeah. No, it's true. And like when you get a personality like Bill Maher coming out and like wanting Trump to fail, it's like, oh, you want the country to fail. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Because they don't give a fuck about everybody else. And that is the underlying principle about those elite in the media, in
Yeah.
academia, in these
They just wanna be right.
institutions. Yeah, that shape opinion and that set the agenda. You know, they want to be right and they don't care. Like, because like if something really, really bad happens on the streets, like grassroots shit, like, dude, they're in gated communities.
Yeah.
Like, they can hire private security of like ex-Navy SEALs with freaking fully automatic weapons outside of their home. Like, they're okay. They're fine.
Oh yeah. And you don't need him to fail. Like there's enough shit like to fill your cycle, or especially for a guy like Maher to just, there's enough things to poke fun at. Like you don't need a fucking collapse to give you material.
Yeah, I know. And it's almost like they want that collapse. I mean,
They do. I mean, he literally said it.
yeah, it's so crazy. And like TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, like it's real, man. Like, I don't know if you saw, I almost hate talking about this because it's like freaking daytime talk show catty bullshit. But like Judge Jeanine Pirro and Whoopi Goldberg got in like this screaming match backstage at The View yesterday
About
Donald Trump and everything. And like, dude, Whoopi Goldberg is just, she's off her rocker, dude. How she's still on TV and has a microphone. Like, I don't know anybody who gives a flying fuck about her opinion, you know? And it's like, I'm so tired of her because everything is just, you know, Donald Trump is evil in every imaginable way.
racist,
Yeah.
bigot.
Racist, bigot. They'll
Boom.
pull all those cards. And it's like, you know what? Everyone's sick of that. Everyone is. And like Judge Jeanine Pirro, like, and it was just because she supported Donald Trump. And it's like, you know what? You claim to be like an intellectual. Like, why don't you really be open-minded? Don't give me this open-minded shit with like, oh, it's open-minded. I mean, it's always like the weird shit, like transgender bathrooms or like raising your kid as a baby. Have you heard that yet?
I don't need to hear it.
Well, I'm gonna,
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, okay, yeah, like shit like that. But like, dude, just be open-minded to other people's opinions. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, this is not that big of a deal.
No, it's going to run the fucking same pretty much no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying to support any of these fuckers is wrong. Like to give that's my guy. That's the guy who's going to make my life better. It's like, no, only you can make your fucking life better. And if you're relying on one person to shape your reality besides yourself, you're fucked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I get there are things that people care about, and presidency, like policy that the president has the power to enact and influence affects that, and that's what it ultimately is.
Exactly, and it's the slow ship, and it's like everybody's trying to steer it in a particular direction, and it's like we don't know what's right.
No, we have no idea what's right. But look, I mean,
All we can do is look at history. That's
Yeah.
the best thing we can do.
precisely. And right now, we just gotta let everything pan out and deal with what we got. I mean, dude, we're still in America. We're still the most powerful country in the world, the wealthiest country, the biggest military. We're all right. Yes, we got some social problems going on, but like this has happened before, and it will dissipate. And honestly, I think millennials are I mean, I know there's a lot of left and right, but I think we see more eye to eye than a lot of generations because we're going to go through the same hardships, and nothing breeds bonds like that.
And where geography isn't the biggest thing that contributes to your view, like because that's a big part of the issue is like if you're born and raised in this town, in this county, in that state, you're going to think a certain way.
Sure.
And it makes sense. But because of our generation's access to different forms of media and just knowledge base, you can form your own a half-assed, at least, attempt of being an informed person, you know?
Yeah. And that's because of the rise of alternative media.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing that these media apparatuses are dying of the legacy media because they've been exposed as inherently corrupt. They are. Like, they're not, I mean, fake news is a real thing.
But how funny is it that the biggest liar is the person who exposed the media for being big liars?
Dude, interesting times. I'm
What the
telling
fuck?
you, it's crazy. Dude,
Nobody lies more than that guy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But again, it brings me back like, oh, man, I'd love to have another JFK. You know, like, yes, he had his faults and all that stuff, but like, man, the temperament of that guy.
And-
like, he's like, the quintessential president, dude.
And it felt like he was letting you in, you know? And it was like, he was there because he legitimately wanted to do what he thought was best. And to watch him
That's why they killed him.
and to watch him toil over these issues, dude, he was like tortured about a lot of stuff. And like to try to make the right call instead of just being like, you have one advisor says, do this. And yep, do that. Boom. Okay, done. Next thing. He really put a lot of weight into the decisions that he made.
I know, and that was captured perfectly by his presidential portrait. He has a very pensive look on his face, and it's like you think about what's he thinking about, right? Like the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? And he wanted to like basically smash the Federal Reserve. I mean, and like obviously he did something that made them blow his head off. Like that. If any of our listeners believe that Lee Harvey Oswald killed John F. Kennedy, please tune out. And I assure you, nobody tuned out of our podcast because nobody believes that. But it's like, man, I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, I would like to see. I know Donald Trump has his braggadocian, and he's him. I mean, that brings us back to the point of like, be you, right? You're going to be the best you, and nobody can be you. Nobody's more Donald Trump than Donald Trump.
Well, and that's why people didn't like Hillary, because she was going to try to be.
She wasn't real.
She was going to try to be whatever she had to be the right candidate at this point, and it didn't matter, you know? And people felt comforted by a guy who just is going to say what he wants to say.
Right. Well, and that's not just Hillary. That's all these politicians.
Yep.
Right. That was Mitt Romney.
And ultimately, it's Trump, too. Really, I mean, if you don't think that he's playing into what he thinks his base is.
Sure, he does. But that's the game of politics. But he's playing it. I mean, they are. It's Trumpian politics.
Yeah.
That's how he does. I mean, it's very interesting to watch, and that's going to shape the way that people go about their political careers for centuries to come.
Yep.
Truly a landmark politician. Unbelievable, man.
Well,
I mean,
it's opened the floor. There's a lot of really, really good things about this fucking presidency. That
it's forcing discourse, that's for sure.
it forces discourse. It shows you that you don't have to have somebody who's completely embedded for their whole life in the system. It shows you. I mean, it's the American dream like in a so twisted rich person way, but I think it's going to breed something great in the long term.
Right. And one of the biggest fears of the framers and originators of the Constitution and of America was the fear of an establishment.
Yep.
Right? Of entrenched politicians and non-political actors.
Term lengths and
right.
Yeah.
And everything was to stop that. And we've gotten so far from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know people vote on Congress, men and women, if you're a senator, 6 years, if you're in the House every 2 years, stuff like that. But it's like, how many people have served for like 10 terms? You know what I'm saying? Like Dianne Feinstein, senator from California, has served like 25 years as a senator. And it's like,
It's crazy.
yeah, I mean, it's totally crazy.
Fuck, I wish I could remember the guy's name. But there's a guy who served his whole life, and then when he got a little too old, his younger wife took over for him. And he's like literally the outrage police. Like he's a member of like this go after people the second they fuck up, and don't think about it. Dude, I'm sorry for bringing it up. That was the worst reference I could have ever had.
No, but I can definitely do something with that. It's like politics brings out the weirdest, wackiest, most unhinged people out of like any other type of line of work.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, from the work that I had done, like some of the conversations I had with these people, like they're truly deranged and on both sides. And it's like they get caught up in this cult of personality. And it's like these people are just vessels for principles and policy. That's what you should be concerned of, And people just get too caught up in the cult of personality. I mean, shit, that played right into Donald Trump, and it played right into Hillary too. I mean, she did win a popular vote of people that were voting for her because she was progressive and because she was a woman. Now, progressive is policies, right? But because she's a woman, that's identity.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And people get way too caught up in that, and it's like, they're saying like, oh, it's time for a woman. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, the whole campaign that they tried to pull out,
It didn't work.
It was
It was a flop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, I mean, that's, again, politics are just fascinating right now, and the midterms are coming up in November, and that's going to be crazy. And I mean, I don't think there's not going to be a blue wave. It's going to go red. All indicators point to that. Take from that what you will, but that's my prediction. And yeah, I mean, we're just going to continue to see this play out. And I mean, Lord have mercy upon the United States, and like, please guide us in the right direction, because really all I want to see is people succeed. Like, to tie it back into Sayers Club last night, like, people get so caught up in this, oh, are you a Democrat, are you Republican, or are you like, what policies or beliefs you have and stuff. And like, I'm out at Sayers Club, and like, we're just having a good time with people, and
Be decent.
yeah, be decent. And we're just enjoying the company of people of all ages, all races, all types of political beliefs and affiliations. And like, no one's bringing any bullshit up. And it was a damn good night, and everyone had fun. Right. And that's just what we need to do. Just like, everyone needs to chill.
Big time.
Yeah.
But it's just
Take a step back.
It's just so difficult when you assume that everything you know about your life could be like literally overturned because of policy and because of the way things move. So people want to make sure they stay on it. Because I'm not active at all. Like, I've never posted anything political. I talk about political stuff on here, but it's like, I don't really know anything.
It's yeah. I mean, it's just like your 2 cents and your analysis. You're not endorsing anything.
Yeah.
Neither of us are. Like, we don't endorse anything.
And the fucking. But if everybody didn't give a fuck, that's dangerous too.
Yeah, because that can totally be taken advantage of. Like
So
you
it's-
need to have a watchful eye on the government.
Yeah, and the only watchful eye that we have are whatever media is thrown our way. It's like it's a really difficult thing to manage, and I choose to try to not manage it. I was gone. I've been traveling a lot. 3-4 weeks go by where I won't even look at the news, and I have no idea what the fuck happened.
Yeah, and your life's probably better for that too. You're not
Amazing.
even caring.
But thank God somebody's looking at it, right? I guess. Like,
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Again, it is very interesting time to be alive, to be our age, and we're going to see it all play out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we have a generation younger than us that's even more polarized than we are. You know what I'm saying? So give it 10 years, it's going to be Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z as the voting populace of the United States. And we hold very different beliefs than baby boomers,
yep.
right? And so, I mean, and we have very different precedent, very different history.
Needs.
Yeah,
Wants.
different needs, different crises that will arise at home and abroad. And so, I mean, again, like, unity is the name of the game. I mean, we're all in this shit together. And like back to like the disparity of wealth and incomes, like, dude, not being egalitarian or any like socialist shit at all. Like that's not what this is. But I do believe that there is plenty to go around where everybody can have a good quality of life because that is bigger than all this shit. Right? The quality of life. Like
Yep.
people just want to, your average person just wants to be left the hell alone and go to work and do their thing and just be unpestered, unmolested by any kind of outside nonsense intruding into their daily life.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think with that, we can call this one a day.
Yeah, no, we can definitely sign off for that. But we are going to charge you for the extra half hour that we gave you. So that's behind the paywall. So you will each be charged accordingly. We'll send you an invoice from our accountant.
Very
And-
cheap, very affordable.
Yeah, very affordable. And make sure that everybody gets an equal amount of content. And we will be back to see you next week here on the Hollywood Hustle. I am your co-host, Tom Bates.
And I wouldn't do that if I were me.
See you guys.
Bye.
Ba-da-boo.